What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Run Your Day podcast. As always, Dan Hafner, your host, joining you here today. I'm excited for this one, guys. I know it's been a little bit since the last return episode, but here it goes. We're going to continue the saga, and I went back and listened to the last one, so I'm all caught up on what's going on and kind of taking a trip down memory lane in my own life here. So, so today's topic is this: climbing the ladder. Now, I know what you're probably thinking this is going to be about, but it's not. I promise that. So, once again, I have no script for these episodes that I'm doing. This is me just winging it. Literally, the easiest way to make a podcast: just hit the record button and go. So, all right. So today we're going to talk about climbing a ladder. In the last episode, I got to the point where I had quit the second job that I had gotten here while in West Virginia and was applying for a sales job. And that one was titled Stepping Back from the Ledge. And that was when I had been offered the job basically and stepped back from it because I knew at that time I was not ready for that type of commitment, that level of, getting after it in terms of my career, right? From what that would demand. So what ended up happening was I went back to my previous job, the one that I had originally got when we moved here, which was a help desk job. Basically, I ended up there was a window there of about 3 weeks where I was like, you know what? I'm going to do the business thing. I'm going to be the businessman. I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to do this stuff. And like looking back, that was a crock. Like I was so naive. I was so all I did was sit around and read. Like I read one big book. Now that book did change my life forever. It's called The Warrior Book. And that book did change my life forever. But during this 3-week window, I thought man, I'm going to do something. I'm going to figure this out. And just realizing that I didn't have a shred of a plan. Like I did not have a single shred of a semblance of a plan. Semblance. Did I say semblance with a Z? Man, I'm out of practice, y'all. I got to knock off the rust here. But anyway, it just so happened I was friends with one of the guys that I used to work with there, and long story short, I ended up reaching out to him about some help for my app, and he mentioned that they were hiring again, and I got to the point where I was like, man, bank account's looking pretty scarce. I better think about this. And basically, he ran that up the chain, and I got the job back without even having an interview. They're just like, "Yeah, can you start next week?" Sure, let's do it. So I ended up going back. Basically took the step backwards, right? Like I stepped back from that ledge. I was at that ledge of where I was going to jump into sales. I was going to jump into it wasn't really entrepreneurship, but it was like a sales job. It was basically an entrepreneurial type job, right? Where you had to build up your own business, do your own thing. Sales, it's tough, right? So, there was mixed feelings about this internally with me. I mean, I know I had, going back to a previous job after I had been through something and moved away from it and wanted to grow. I kind of went along with this story when everybody asked why'd you come back? Right. And I said that, well, the job that I left for really wasn't what I expected, which was true. That part of it was true. I did leave that job and it really became something that I didn't expect. And it became something that I was dissatisfied with, that just didn't fulfill a need and a calling inside of me for what I was supposed to do. Right. I just knew eventually I was just like, this is just not for me. The people I had worked for, the people I worked with, they're not bad people. I just didn't jive. And that's okay. I think a lot of us get stuck in situations a lot of times in life where we feel like we have to make something work. Because I have this job, or my parents will be mad at me if I don't have this job, or my spouse will be mad at me, or somebody won't respect me or love me, or there's all kinds of storylines we go through in our life. And in the end of the day, if you're not happy with the situation it's your goddamn fault. No one has to deal with that daily than you, right? You are the one that has to get up every single day and go to that job or be with that person or deal with that circumstance in your life And as much as you think other people care, other people really don't, because they don't live your life. Once I realized this, like, this was a process for me of realizing, like, wow, like, as much as I wanted to please other people, as much as I wanted to think, like, show to the world that I had my shit together, like, I realized that I didn't. And, like, that was okay, because I was the one that had to deal with the consequences of my choices and my actions. And I got to a place where I was just like, you know what? People can think what they want to think, but I'm just going to do the thing, right? I'm just going to do the thing that I want to do. And that's actually coming up in future episodes with what I'm doing right now, which is even a bigger way I went about that. But anyway, I went back to this job and kind of quickly realized it was not the thing that I wanted to do. I realized I was like, shit, man, like, I had a chance to do something better and I got scared. And I went back and I shrunk. Like, I shrunk as a human being, right? Like, I took a step backwards. I did. And that was just, looking back on that time in my life, like, that was just me just not being ready internally to grow, to just collide with myself and just figure things out. And there comes a time, I think, in everybody's life where they're willing to do that. And for me, that was just not that time. Like, I couldn't do it, right? So anyway, the story I really wanted to tell about going back to this job was what ultimately, I forget how long I was there. It was only a few more months I was there. And what ultimately led me to knowing, like, you know what, I have to quit again, and I have to go back to this other sales job that I had interviewed before. Like I said, this was a help desk job. It was basically inbound calls for, basic computer issues. People calling in like, hey, my password isn't working, or my Google, blah, 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 whatever. You know what I mean? Like, stupid shit, right? And I remember one day this lady called in, and she was an older lady, and she just was like the most technically challenged person you've ever seen or heard in your life. Like, this lady, bless her heart, like, she tried, but she just didn't. Just couldn't get whatever she was dealing with. And I was actually, I think I was shadowing somebody. Like, I was overseeing like a newer employee, kind of coaching them through like one of their first calls. And like, this lady suddenly turned like very sour. She got very like standoffish and annoyed and bitter, and, for lack of a better word, bitchy. Like, she just got really like irritating, right? And I remember sitting there writing notes down. I wish I had the note in my notebook. I probably don't even have the notebook anymore, but I remember writing something like, Dan, you should not be here. This is not what you are meant for. You are on to bigger and better things. What in the literal hell are you doing here talking to this woman? This is the biggest waste of time and waste of your life that you could possibly be doing. Like, I wrote something very, very similar to that. I don't think it was verbatim, but I wrote that, like, literally wrote that in a notebook. And I went home that night and I stared at it. I was like, oh my God, like, I made such a bad choice. Like, I can't believe I went back to this job, right? So, but this was along the lines of, like, I had been going down the route of getting Run Wage going. Like, I had been, I had the idea, I had like the concept, I had like physical things that I had actually, gone down and like put money into. Like, I had skin in this game now, right? And I knew, I was like, like, the more I read and I was following, I had, jumped into Wake Up Warrior, the program I was in. I had followed Russell Brunson with ClickFunnels. I was down this whole entrepreneurial, influencer online, just like be better self-improvement path. And I just knew that this thing was like holding me back. Right. So climbing the ladder, coming back to what I originally titled this show was, I got reminded of this the other day. And to climb a ladder, right? When you think about physically climbing up a ladder, you hold on to, a rung above your head with a hand, and then maybe you're holding on like around your face or your chest area with the other hand, right? And then to move up, you take your foot off the other rung and you let go of the one by your chest, and you reach up higher, and the one that was up above your head comes down to your chest, right? Now, if you notice what I said there, you let go of the one at your chest. So you're only holding on with one hand as your hand and foot are moving up, right? And you guys don't need me to explain how you go up a ladder. I'm sure you know, but if you think about this and how it relates to life and moving on and things, that first part is the freaking hardest part, letting go, right? Like you try to go up a ladder next time you go up a ladder, if you ever do. I know I usually don't, but try to move up without letting go. Like try to walk up a flight of stairs while keeping your foot on the same stair the whole time. Like it's impossible. It's literally impossible. You have to move and let go of where you are in order to move to something different. And it's fucking hard sometimes. Like it's scary. It is. Like, so whether, you think about this in terms of a relationship or a job or a friendship, like we get comfortable with the things that are normal in our lives, whether they're painful or not, even especially if they're painful. Like we learn to deal with them. We learn to cope with them. So it's very hard. It's very scary to let go of something that you especially identify with and you don't want to upset the status quo with for not even the promise of something greater. Like you don't even know what's coming. It's easy to say like, well, I'm going to let go of this thing, but I'm going to get this thing, this better thing, right? But if there's an unknown, like I'm going to let go of what I have for, I don't know what, that is fucking terrifying. Like that's scary. Whether you're quitting a job without having something lined up, or you're breaking off a relationship without having somebody else to be with, if you need, like, well, I know you can be single for a while, but or you're moving out and you're breaking your lease and you don't have anywhere to live, right? Like this is like that leap off the ledge type like shit where you're like, wow, like this was not thought through, right? That's terrifying. That is so scary. And I'm not saying you should do any of these things, but like I just want to drill this concept home, is that you cannot climb a ladder without letting go. I'm going to say that again. You cannot climb a ladder without letting go. You cannot climb a ladder without letting go. And this applies in any area of your life. You cannot grow, you cannot expand, you cannot become more without letting go of where you currently are or who you currently are. As I've gone down this self-improvement path over the past 2 years, like I'm like unrecognizable to myself. And in the people that I, in my immediate family, I'm sure would say like the same thing. Like I've become like a different person because I was willing to let go of who I was. It's the only way that became possible. I was willing to let go of thoughts, of patterns, of stories, of habits. And I was willing to let go without like knowing that like that was scary and I didn't know where it would lead, but knowing that it would all be okay. Like I would find a new habit. I would find a new story. I would find something different. Maybe not necessarily better, but something different, because I knew at that point in my life when I was at that job that this was not working for me. Like this is not giving me what I want. This is not working for me. Therefore, I don't know what is next. I don't know exactly what is going to happen in that sales job. I don't know exactly what's going to happen if this works out or if this doesn't work out. But I have to let go because I want something different. I wanted something different. It was tough. It was very, very tough. But in the end, I got the job. And I started about last fall with it. So it was terrifying. It was one of the scariest things. And then the scariest thing is probably going to come in the next episode, or well, probably one or two from now. But that one was even scarier. So there's always a new level, new devil, right? So I'll say it again. In order to grow, you cannot climb a ladder without letting go. I just want to say this over and over again. Like I could literally have this whole episode just be me repeating this for 15 minutes. You cannot climb a ladder without letting go. You cannot climb a ladder without letting go. So my question for you as a wrap up today. Where in your life do you need to let go? Let go of something. Think about it. Like there's an area, whether it's in your career, whether it's a relationship, whether it's internal, like an internal belief you have, maybe a religious belief, maybe a political belief, maybe something in your life that you might have been hanging on to and you're trying to grow, but you realize like you can't be anchored down by that thing anymore. So there's no other way for me to coach you through it other than to just say, let go. Let go to grow. Let go to grow. Okay? So that's my question and my challenge for you. Where in your life do you need to let go? All right, my friends. So that's going to wrap it up. I appreciate you guys as always. Thank you for coming back and joining the show. I see we're pretty much at about the same viewership. So I'm really glad that you guys are still enjoying the show. I hope I'm doing all right. Like I said, I got a little bit of rust to knock off still, but we're getting back in the swing of things. So, all right, my friends, I appreciate you. Thank you a million times. Thank you for listening to the show. Dan Hafner signing off. Make it a great rest of your day.
Thank you for listening to the Run Your Day podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's show. If you did, feel free to share today's show with friends and family. Until next time, have a great day.